when you had your brain aneurysm. And then I called Hayden. I called because I needed a label made, I think. And
because I just did a label for you.
There was something that needed to be changed on the label. And then I called, or I texted, and he responded, and he actually told me that you'd had your brain aneurysm. And, you know, it was shocking because, you know, you are not the person that I would have ever thought would be having a brain aneurysm at your age and for where you were in your life. And and that was really hard because in the time that you had your brain aneurysm and you were recovering from your brain aneurysm, and I know we didn't have much contact in that time, and that was mostly because you needed the time to heal. But I did have that thought of like, holy moly, who's going to be my graphic designer? So selfish of me, but I was like, you know, I mean, I wanted you to be okay and healthy and better just because I wanted you to be okay and healthy and better because, you know, I care about you. But I did have that very selfish, very small little like, oh no, what am I going to do now? So when you actually got back to where you could, you know, where you were working again and where, you know, we were working together with the limitations of having recovered from or being in recovery from, you know, that was really amazing.
But the work is also my recovering, right? The more people see me as capable, the more I recover so much faster. Like in like the Apraxia, they can't believe that I can drive. Like I had 100% paralyzed from here down, and because the damage was so big, it disconnected from my brain. So my brain was disconnected, and it wasn't working. And that's why I need to tell my story, because when I woke up from my coma and seeing the nurse testing my arms and my legs and not working, and seeing my husband crying in the corner, and the faces of my family that flew from all of Canada and ferries and stuff to see me in the hospital, and I said, nope, that's not my life. Nope, there's no reason my body won't work. And I instantly, my crazy positivity went to a story that made me keep going forward. And that's the story from when I was like 15. My dad was watching a documentary. You know that time in like 1994 when the TV had...
Oh yes, the antennas.
Yes, and it's snowing.
Yeah.
And so you can kind of see it, and you can only watch TV live. And my dad called me across, and I watched the end of the documentary about this guy who ended up being a lawyer. And they showed the x-ray of his brain, and there was only this much brain. And I was like, so he's a lawyer. People have lawyers all the time. My dad was like, no, this kid had a stroke. And this kid was having strokes all the time. And this doctor said, I think if we take more of the brain out, that our brain will remap whatever brain you have, and you can do everything. But I think if I take more of this brain, the strokes would stop. So the choice for these parents was either take more brain out or he dies. So they said, okay, take more brain. And he kept surgery after surgery. And I remember there being 2 inches left. That's what I remember, right? So when I was in the bed, I was like, as long as I have 2 inches of brain, I can map my whole brain onto 2 inches. So at least I have 2 inches. So that's what I was saying to myself over and over and over. Okay, brain, you know what to do. Fix me. I need to have arms. I have things to do. I cannot be a head in a bed. And I was talking to myself over and over. And I remember I had a conversation to my subconscious of like, okay, we can wake up your body, but we have to delete something in your brain to reconnect your body. And I went to the whole list. We can delete this. I was like, no, we can't remember my education. I have to remember my memories. Memories are super important. And they're like, okay, we can delete English. And I was like, well, I wasn't that good at English anyways. So, and people relearn English all over the world. So let's just delete English. That's easy. And that's when my stroke deleted English and it woke up my body. Right. And that's when the words came back. So that's aphasia. So, and not only, you know, if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do something. I didn't just get aphasia of talking. You also, so the words coming out get scrambled. Also, the words I hear are scrambled and written. So I had to relearn to reading, speaking, and hearing. Yes. But luckily, the more practice and the more passion and the more I tried, the better I am. Right. So I'm like, well, if I'm going to relearn English, I'm going to have the best communicator. But it's a lot of determined, and I can also, this is why people don't talk after stroke. Right. Because my words are all scrambled a little bit, and if I focus, my words are pretty clear and pretty good, but I have to practice them all the time.
Yeah. And this was just 2 years ago.
Yeah, I'm at 21 months now.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And you're working.
I know. It's like when I was in for the surgery, so I had a brain aneurysm, instantly paralyzed, and they took me to Duncan. They flew me. That's when they found there was a problem, and it was pressure. So they had to do brain surgery, the like hole to left pressure. But I have really unique blood, because when I lost my second kid, that's when they found out I have
antibodies.
Really unique blood. That word for the small s.
Yeah.
And so not only did they have to do brain surgery, but they couldn't give me blood. Yeah. And they flew me to Vancouver, Victoria. From Duncan to Victoria, that's when they did the hole. And they said, okay, if she's still here tomorrow, we can fly into Vancouver and do coil surgery. Yeah. And there's only 3 people in Victoria who can do it. They went through here to fix the hole.
Through the femoral artery.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And so they flew me into Vancouver. So they flew me into Vancouver, but someone else needed my surgery before me. So I had to wait one more night. So that was like so hard for everyone. And my family flew out from all over Canada, and the brilliant surgery had to tell everyone, and they said, okay, if we do nothing, she's going to die 100%. If we do this coil surgery, there's a 95% death, there's a 5% she'll be alive, and there's a 1% she'll ever do her job, because this is so serious. Don't expect anything. Right. It's time to say bye. And all the grown-ups, because I have a 9-year-old, so all the grown-ups are trying to not to cry and trying to be brave. And there's my 9-year-old. Okay, this is my story for my mom. My mom says, my kid walked up and said, you don't know my mom. I'm like, she will be fine. And the doctor was like, oh. And he left, and everyone was crying. And Mom was like, my mom will be fine. And I am. I like those stories.
Those especially stories.
especially when you're telling the story, because you're like, oh, she's going to be fine because she's telling the story.
That's so beautiful, though, right?
I'm like, that's the best.
That's
kid.
why we have children.
Right? They're so amazing.
They believe in you no matter what, when nobody else does.
Yeah.
Yes.
But it's hard I lived at the hospital for 9 weeks with speech and talking and a year of speech therapy, going to the hospitals and doing exercise to fix my brain and reconnect my body, because I was, this woke up, but then this side of the body wasn't connected up as much. So they didn't test me. I didn't know that I couldn't feel hot and cold.
Oh.
I didn't know until one day it was started to connect as I got better. The nerves are connecting and I was feeling needles. And I was like, oh, I think there's something wrong. And that was heat starting to connecting.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, there's so much pain too. Like reconnecting all your nerves into your body is like so much pain, crazy pain. And every time a new part of my brain, of my body is connecting, comes with like a whole bunch of pain.
Yeah. But you're still able, as you said earlier, your brain has shifted and changed in terms of your work and your graphic design and what you're doing.
Yeah.
Right? And I've seen that in terms of the work you're doing.
I think I got better. Like, I think because I'm focusing so much on learning English, like I spend an hour to 6 hours a day relearning English and speaking and all that stuff, that when I actually get to do the things that I'm like graphic design, photography, marketing, sales, it's like this happy land. And like, it's still amazing that I can still like do all the tools and to do the graphic design and the marketing and the sales. And like, when I'm sad, I will actually walk through businesses and fix things in my head. I will think about like marketing and sales and like, and I go into this different land of like happiness and my words are totally fine. And it's so amazing. Like,
that is amazing. Yeah.
I'm thinking of if I was in Disney, The Little Mermaid.
Yes.
How she traded her voice for her legs. I'm like, I'm Disney. I'm totally April. And at the end, she gets the voice and the talking. So,
and the legs.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah, she got both. I get it all, man.
It's perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely, again, as I said earlier, that selfish part of me that was like, oh my gosh, who's going to be my graphic designer?
I'm back. Yes. Don't worry.
Exactly. So it's a win-win for me too.
Oh, it's so amazing. Like so amazing that my clients saw me at the hospital and brought me presents and waiting. They're like, Melanie, let me know when you're okay. Like, called me and I was having conversation. I'm like, are you sure? Like, I have metal in my head. Are you sure? And they're like, well, you are still a good photographer? And I was like, well, yeah. Well, okay, let me know when you're ready. And they put me on pause so that I could recover, so that I can come back.
Yeah.
Because you don't have the same confidence when you've been through so much stuff, right?
Absolutely.
You have to like, okay, can I really still doing this?
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, okay, I can.
Yeah, I can't imagine. Yeah, I can't imagine, I mean, I support women giving birth, and that is hard. But it has a beginning and an end.
Yeah.
Right? Whereas recovery from that level of injury, is you will probably be working on certain aspects of that for your whole life.
Yeah.
Right?
When people tell me stories, they're so impressed that it took them only 6 years. And I was like,
You're like, yeah, I'm not waiting 6 years. You don't know me. That's my daughter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why I wanted to share my story, is because it's embarrassing to tell the story and what I've gone through, but I want to educate people and understand that the rest of my brain is awesome. Just my communication is messed up.
Right.
And April, that her voice, when there's a little bit of stress or things are hard, the voice goes away, but my brain is still fine. It's still thinking fine. I just have a hard time getting it out.
Right. I don't know if her name is April.
I
think it's something similar to that.
Starts with an A.
It does. It does.
Maybe I get the...
It's Ariel.
April?
Ariel.
Ariel?
It's Ariel. Ariel.
See, that's the thing that's a little scrambled,
Yes.
is that in my head...
You're saying Ariel.
And that's not what I'm saying?
My
That's
daughters
awesome.
would be like, Mom. So I'm like, yeah, it's Ariel.
The Little Mermaid.
Yes,
yeah.
but we all knew who you were talking about.
Good.
Yes, and that's the thing. That's what I was saying before. Is like your ability to communicate and our ability to support you in that communication as your clients just makes that relationship closer, right? And recognizing that we all have to open our ears, open our hearts, open our minds to being aware of, where you're at and how, because it's a shared experience, not necessarily a brain aneurysm, but having to really listen and understand somebody so we actually get what they're saying, right?
And you have to check with me a little bit more, because some of the details are harder for me, like dates and locations, certain things you have to kind of check, because my gremlins might have the opposite word will come out. So I have to really focus to get my words clear.
Yes. But I think you've always been a pretty organized person. So that has helped you, I would say. Your ability to track certain things. Because if you were an incredibly disorganized person, which I don't think you ever have really been, it would make it way more hard.
Yeah.
harder. So.
Well, communication is hard enough to communicate with people, where now I feel like I'm extra careful about everything. When we text back and forth, I'm like, okay, the date, the location, and then I will text it 3 times to make sure I get it right, because we all miss appointments, and now I have to be extra careful.
Yes, I think you do a good job.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks for being the empower for me, and helping. It's hard to tell the story, so I'm really grateful to have a friend, an amazing client that we've been through so much of our journey together, and I'm grateful. Thank you.
I'm grateful too. I'm really excited that we get to continue to work together, and that there's this incredible future. So it's awesome.
It's so amazing. I feel like the world sets you up for exactly what you need to do, right? Yeah. I got all the tools that I needed to get through my recovering so quickly and with so much passion, and they couldn't even believe that I'm driving, that I had to go through 4 doctors to sign a piece of paper enable for me to drive again, because none of them wanted to say there's no way you can drive again, but they tested, she's okay. So now I feel like I'm all over it. Now I have that over the hangover. Vulnerability.
Vulnerability, hangover. I think that's probably something that we should all have, though, because it means that we're open.
Yeah.
We're open to what our lives bring us. And we put it out there, which is what you do every day.
Yeah.
So,
Our brains are so amazing.
can I have some more tea?
Yeah.
I feel like, thank you.